want them to ever feel like they don't have the pictures that they need, but it's coming from you didn't have it. But I think that the heart of that is just, it's really beautiful. It's like really giving, really telling. Yeah, that's very loving. It's why am I crying? Okay, so videography and photography for weddings.
Yes.
And then for corporate. And then
small business.
And small business.
Yes.
Any other lines of business?
Oh man, government contractor. That's why I'm here. So here.
Bold Move Besties, this episode is one for the books. We have a part 1 and a part 2. And because of that, guess what? You got some early homework. I want you to jot down a goal that you want to accomplish for the week. Pick a goal, stick to it. Go ahead, push play. Let's get started. Bold Move Besties, you are in for a treat on this episode of She Built Success. We are going behind the lens and interviewing the videographer here for She Built Success, Jason Lapointe. So the videographer, the man, the myth, the legend, y'all don't get to see him, but you're going to see him today. Let's get started. Jason, I am so excited we get to do this.
I'm excited too. This is weird. Okay, but no, I'm here. Let's do it.
All right. So I know. So you produced, or not produced, but you've been behind the lens for season 1, now season 2. How did you get started in videography?
Wow. All right. So that's a good question. So, So it all started actually in photography.
Okay.
So it was before this company, I was with another company. I had another company with a business partner. And we were doing weddings. We were doing roughly about maybe 55 weddings a year. So he was on the video side. I was on the photo side. I dibbled and dabbled in videography before, trying to do little documentaries from my friend's mom. She had cancer. So we were trying to pull a whole bunch of footage together and put something together. And it's funny because I met the videographer, which was my business partner, through another photographer.
Okay.
And he was the videographer of the wedding. So the whole time I was like, okay, I just tried to do this documentary. This is the video guy. Yeah. Let me ask him everything I could possibly figure out. And he was telling me a lot of stuff. I was like, man, he's really cool. So then from that point, we formed together this company. It was him, myself, and the actual photographer that I was with. We formed a company together. And then from there, every time we taking photos, I was always watching to see how does he do it, and always asking him questions. And I was always the help. Photo came easy. So I was always like, hey, I'm done with my photos. Hey, do you need me to move lights? I'll do this, I'll do that. He was like, yeah, can you help me out? Because he was always kind of needing some help. And then from there, after the transition happened and we decided to split ways, I just started doing video because I picked it up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start recording stuff and see what happens. And clients that we worked with from before coming to me and say, hey, you do video too? I was like, yeah. I can. And that's how it just started from there.
Wow. Did you actually, you know what? Let's run it back to little Jason.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Let's go. Because I know videography is something that you're extremely talented in, but let's talk about did you always have an eye in that regards? For wanting to do photography, videography, or was it something else? What were you interested in when you were small?
Okay. Art and flying. That was it. Yes, that was it. So I was always the type to play video games, but I was always playing Mario Paint. So if I'm aging myself, but Mario Paint was a game for Nintendo. Was it Nintendo 64? What was it? No, Super Nintendo.
It was Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yes. So I can't remember it. It was 4th grade. I got a Mario Paint game, and it had this mouse, and it had this plastic mouse pad, and you could draw and make colors or make designs through little dots. It's kind of like dot matrix.
Yeah.
And I used to just sit there for hours and hours. My brothers, they would play baseball games and all kind of stuff. I'm sitting in front of Mario Paint and then making a little music behind it. So I was always creative. Always creative. Yeah. I'm talking about even when I destroyed things just to put them back together, it was always that. I just wanted to figure out how it worked. And I used to get in trouble and say, if you destroy it, you got to put it back together. All right, I got it. I got it. So that's where it kind of started. So the creative side was always there.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, no, I never had a camera. Yeah. We did get a video camera.
Yeah.
When I was roughly about, I think in 5th grade or 6th grade. And we had that big VHS.
With the mic sticking out.
Yes. Yep. So it was huge. And again, I was the youngest of 4. So my brothers always had it, and I was always the one. He's like, hey, jump off the bed. Let's capture it. Or we used to set it up in the corner. Like, we're going to do WWF. And the ring was the bed. So I was always the one that was getting pinned. But I was always like, camera? Did you see me? So that's how it always was.
Yeah.
So again, we used to always play with that. But again, it was never something to say, I really like this. But it wasn't until later on when I met my girlfriend, now wife. We travel around a lot. And we were traveling. I was always taking pictures like, on the disposable cameras. And then we went on a cruise. We went at the same time. So I was like, you know what? I think I need a digital camera. And I paid so much for this little like Canon Elf or whatever that called. I got ripped off in St. Martin, not St. Martin, St.
You
Thomas.
bought it there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, yeah, because you're not in the States. I was like, aren't you guys in U.S. territory? It was insane. But I bought it. And then from there, I was taking photos and I started taking them with angles. And when we got back, we used to print them. And we put them in the house because that was our thing. We didn't have kids, but we used to just put them around. And then after a while, people were like, man, you take really good photos. I was like, I guess. Never thought anything about it.
Yeah.
Fast forward many years, she's working. I'm sorry, let me move back a little bit. Chase was born, my first. Okay. And taking it a little bit further back, when I was growing up, I was the youngest, again, of 4. And it was during a specific turn of time. Again, I think I mentioned it from before. My mom passed away. So it was a transition to where my grandmother and my family was more paying attention and praying for her. And then all the photos and everything pretty much stopped. So even for myself, I have no photos of me. I would say, I think the last photo that I have when I'm young was in 5th grade, a class picture. So I told Brizette, my wife, I said, hey, Chase is being born. I don't ever want him to ever have to worry about a teacher asking for a picture and he can't provide one. Because I had none. Yeah. Whereas my friend Corbett, which was like the family that kind of took me in after, they had photos everywhere. I'm like, man, this is so cool. You got pictures when you're like 7. Oh my God, you're 4. And for me, I have no idea what it looked like. Wow. So at that point I said, I had the camera and I was like, I'm going to invest in a really good camera. And I'm going to take so many pictures of this kid that he's not going to know. He was like, oh my gosh, like stop, So then, I would say he was born and then my wife is a teacher. So she was working and randomly out the blue, a coworker said, do you know a photographer? My photographer just dropped out. Oh, shit. Now I have the camera. I'm taking pictures of my kid, which is newborn. And I was like, she said, Jay, you got a camera? And at that point, when I got the camera, I took like a community class. It was so funny. The class was like $15 for like 12 weeks. Wow. And I was like, I got in there. I was like, man, this guy's teaching everything. He was retired, but he was teaching you like basics. But it was boring. I was like, oh God, I can't take another picture of this bird. It makes no sense. Like the bird is not moving. So she said, you took the class. You know what you're doing. I was like, I guess. And then from there, I did the wedding, myself and my friend Larry. He rented a camera and I look back at those photos now. I'm like,
it's a learning.
Yeah, it was very, oh God. So just to give some context, like I do weddings now as well, but we were out there from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I don't even think we made $300 on that. Because I was like, I don't even know what to charge. I don't know. I just got a camera. They're not taking me serious. But we were everywhere. We went to 5 locations. We were at her house, at his house, at the kid's house. We were everywhere. Oh my gosh. And we look back now, you're like, oh gosh, that was the worst thing we did. But when I was doing it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I get to document this. And it took me back again to childhood. Like, I'm going to make sure that she will never have to look back and say she didn't have any photos. And that's how it started. So from there, I don't even know how many hours is that, 7 to 11? I don't even know what that is.
More than 12?
Yeah, way more than 12.
It's like 17, 15?
It was bad.
Wow.
It was bad.
So I think what's beautiful, even in what you were just saying, which I didn't know, I know we've talked off camera before, but was, you, even in the wedding, you with your oldest, and I'm sure with Cardi, Cardi. It's like you don't want them to ever feel like they don't have the pictures that they need, but it's coming from you didn't have it. But I think that the heart of that is just, it's really beautiful. It's like really giving, really telling. Yeah, that's very loving. It's I didn't look. Oh, why am I crying?
Oh man,
sorry.
So while you're thinking, I'll explain more. And I know I mentioned like about the bride not ever having to worry about that too. So fast forward to my wife and I's wedding. Let me take it back there. So our wedding, I was here and I was in Atlanta and my wife was still in college in Valdosta. So her mom pretty much planned everything out because we were like, yeah, we're getting married. We've been together for so long. It was like, yeah, we're getting married. So she planned the whole thing.
Wow.
Like we had no say.
Wow.
And we didn't really care because we were like, well, wedding's cool, but we would rather just like go vacation somewhere or just, buy a house. That was our thing. We weren't really, to be honest, we were like, well, I don't really need a wedding.
Yeah.
But we had one and it was super big. We had like, 12 on each side.
What bridesmaid and
yes, 12. They all flew to New York, drove to New York. It was 300 people. We had musicians that we grew up with that are famous, and they were playing, and it got way out of control.
Wow.
Her dad was like, no more.
Yeah.
But we had 4 photographers.
Wow.
So her dad hired a company, and my aunt, which is my Brizette's aunt, hired a company because again she said, "Hey, no, we want to take care of it," but they already hired the company. And we had a videographer, but we had 4 photographers.
Wow.
2 different companies, and there were pictures everywhere. We're looking around, like, oh yeah, okay, all right, we got it. And at the end, we got back to home, and life got in the way, and we received some prints from my aunt's photographer, and we had them. It was like, okay, but it was weird because that's the other thing. Like if you have multiple photographers at one location or at a wedding, the bride and groom don't know where to look because they're like, you have to call it, hey, look this way, but one may look this way. And now you have a portrait, they're looking in different directions. So we have 1 or 3 shots from one photographer printed of us looking this way, have people in the background because again, that photographer that was hired by the aunt wasn't the official photographer. However, the official photographer was an older kind of company. So we got a book, printed pages, I think like 40 or 50 pages of each individual picture. And it was like a small, and we were looking, we was like, what do we need to do? What do we do with this? I don't know. So they said, you have to circle all the images that you want, and then we'll print them, and then we'll send them to you, and then we'll design an album. Life got in the way. We had then had a kid, and then it was like, whatever. And then we finally went back to them. I think it was like 5 years later, and they were closed. They went out of business. So we have 3 images from our wedding, the huge wedding, and we were like, there's no way possible this can happen. So even with, because again, we got married clearly before we had our kid, when I did that wedding, why I was I was like, I'm not going to leave until this lady has everything. It's because I was thinking back, I was like, how we felt. It's like, we don't have any images. Like we have images because we put disposable cameras on every table.
Oh, that's nice.
And we developed those, but then it's like you got everybody. It was like, why are the pictures of feet? That's food.
Like
Finger,
a plate.
finger, and the kid took it. The kid's up the sky. I was like, this is not good. So that was our why. Even when the weddings came down to me doing weddings officially, it was always like I used to tell brides, they were like, well, man, you're everywhere. You keep walking everywhere. You're always moving. You never sit down. I was like, no, because I don't want anybody to feel that way. So again, it went hand in hand again. It was like that same thing I felt as a child. And now I grew up and it's the same thing happened. I was like, no, I got to change this. So even when photographers, like now, when you look on their site and they say, in your package, you will get 500 edited images or 25 edited images, and they always ask me that. It's like, okay, so how many images did I get? I was like, I don't care. Whatever I edit, they're yours. It's not mine. It's for you to cherish your memories, not for me. And a lot of they don't get it. They don't get it. But again, that's the why behind it, though.
Wow.
So,
No, that's deep.
I know. It's a lot of stuff that's hidden. No, go ahead.
No, but it's good because it not only is that a differentiator, and whether or not you say that in your own marketing, but it's evident clearly when you're working with your clients that, hey, these are all yours.
Yeah.
They might not know your story behind why they're all theirs, but the fact that you're doing that, I think, is something that, like you said, most photographers don't even consider that. Okay, so you mentioned you did photography for wedding, or you also do weddings. Do you do videography for weddings too?
Yes, we did. When we had the company, we did. So now with my own, yes, we do both. We do both. So it just all depends. Like whatever. I always tell a bride, like when they hire me now, I say, hey, what do you want more? Like, what do you see? Like, what's your outcome from the wedding? What do you want to look back? It's like, oh, I really want to see my video. Then I shift that way. And I'll have a team member come on and do photo. Yeah. If they say, no, the photo's really mean, I was like, then I'll shift that way. So either way you look at it, I could do either one. Yeah. But it's whatever it means the most to them. That's what I want to be on.
Yeah. Now, you said weddings. what other lines of business? Because clearly this is not a wedding.
No, it's not. It's not. So I got into the corporate space
Yeah.
because a lot of the brides and grooms that were coming through me, whether it was the last company that we had together, my business partner, or the current one, they were starting businesses. So naturally they said, hey, I feel comfortable in front of the camera with you. You've seen us in one of the most vulnerable points of our lives, like the most important light, and you caught that. Now we want to venture out to do this. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm there. I'm there. So a lot of the clients that I started off with, they were all past clients. And I was like, oh my God, I was so I'm, you want them to win. Yeah. You've seen them together. You've seen the union. Now that the two of them are going and they starting a whole business together. So going in with those ideas, that's how it started. Yeah. And then, social media and stuff changes, and I started saying, hey, you guys need to do video. And they were like, really? And then we started doing video. And then from there, it again, God puts you in rooms. That's how I see it. He puts you in rooms. He puts you around people. And for me, I've never thought, my background has nothing to do corporate-wise, has nothing to do with photography and videography. Like, I was a psych major. Like, my degree is in psychology. That's it. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a pilot, and I'm gonna be a psychologist, a family and marriage and therapy counselor. And then it just made a left. And then from there, I started noticing like, hey, social media is changing. They're doing video. And then I'm in a room with them, but the rooms or the videos that they're posting, it's the people who are seeing it. Who did that? And it's like CEOs of companies. And that's how it all started, to where like, where are you? I'm in a different state. Yeah. How'd you get to a different state? Like, doing video. Yeah. How did you market that? I was like, I'm not.
Yeah. It was it through other relationships? Yeah. Whether it's prior or just continue to build those relationships. Correct. Okay. So videography and photography for weddings. Yes. And then for corporate. And then small business. And small business. Yes. Any other lines of business we need to capture? Government contractor. That's why I'm here. So oh man, it was so funny because we met through one of the. Can I say her? Yeah. We met through Kyra. Kyra and I used to work together at Progressive Insurance. I was a claims adjuster. And Kyra and she started, I think maybe 3 weeks before I did. Okay. And then we were part of this whole team, fresh out of college, brand new to corporate America. And, we all clicked, and we've been friends for a long time. And then from there, fast forward years, she saw one of my posts and she said, hey, I got somebody I need you to meet. And then I talked to Claudia. I was like, man, she's cool. Who is this? And when you said one thing, you said, I'm down for it. I was like, I don't know who this lady is, but she is awesome. She's awesome. And that's how it started in the government space, because my wife and I, we watched TV and we watched YouTube, and we came across all these people saying, hey, if you own a business, you may want to look into government contracting, because it's a way to not only supplement your business, but it may take over completely from what you're offering out to clients. Right. And then from there, we tried it, try to figure it out. It's like, this doesn't make any sense, because there's so much information out there, and everybody has a different way of doing it. Everybody has something different to say about it. Some may say, don't go local, don't go state. Some may say only go federal. And the others say, don't go federal, go. And I'm like, I don't know who to believe. I have no idea. So you try everything, and it's like you just spin in circles. And then we met, and we did our first shoot in Atlanta, and then you were talking, I was like, man, she's in the government contracting. So I started listening. So from there, it got enough confidence up, and I was like, I'm gonna start bidding. Forget this. And then I took a break because it got busy, and then I went back. I was like, no, I think I have something to hear. And I started asking you a lot of questions. And then from there, got the confidence and started offering stuff out there. So what's it look like now in government contracting for you? Well, we have one. Congratulations. We have one, yes. It's not in the line of work that we do, but it kind of goes to show that, you just have to keep throwing things out there. And an agency may give you a shot. So now it's really just proving, hey, we've been around as far as a business, and we're just proving that we could do things outside of what's listed on our business, but also trying to remain true to what, I do on a daily basis. Right. So. Do you think that, let's say, if you want to, you could choose. Okay. But did you just end up going state, local, or federal? It was federal. There we go. Federal. Well, all right. I mean, I can give my opinion. I think state asks for too much. It asks for so much stuff. I was like, why am I getting this notarized? Why do I have to go to a notary right now? Why am I doing this? And they ask for so much documents.
I know it's in your backyard, but it just seems for the government is saying, hey, you are a business. You did take the time to register your business. I could prove that you're registered. Let's give them a shot.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed. I could be on the lower scale of looking at things, but the state is so much documented.
I think very different states have different hurdles, if you will, that you have to jump. I know for me, I did one outside in Texas, and it was a city contract, and it was easy for the most part. But then we ended up having to apply for like certain, I'm not gonna say certifications, but classifications. There we go.
Okay.
Like we're a small business, we're woman owned, we're a small disadvantaged business. And it wasn't difficult to do. It was just a piece in their process that I did not know about. And so the contracting officer reached out right before we won the award and was like, hey, you make sure, did you register with said thing? And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't know that. No. And so I think it depends on, because contrast that to some other states that I've tried to engage with, much like you, it's like, why is there so much like hurdles to jump here? Yeah. I mean, I get it. You know, you want some consistency in how you're putting out the procurement, how you're putting out the RFP. But at the same time, it's like, why isn't there a standard?
Yeah. There's no standard.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
I hear you. What do you think so far? So you have 3 lines of business, right? Which one is your like, I'm gonna make you have to, it's like picking your favorite.
Oh man.
Which one do you which one do you enjoy the most right now? I mean, it can always change.
Right now, the corporate side, the small business corporate side, because again, most of the ones that I work with, they're all in the same boat as me. Sorta. They have a business. Sometimes people don't even know it exists. So the content that I help them with is putting it out there more. So it's like, I always say it at the end of a lot of the videos that I do, it's saying, if you're not putting yourself out there, how is anybody going to find you? Yes, you can market. I get it. But even if you don't let the customer know who it is behind it, how are they going to trust you to even want to do business with you? And I say that to creators a lot. You know, a lot of them say, I don't want to put my stuff out there, but they're really good. But I'm like, but if you don't put it out there, you're not even trusting yourself enough to put it out there.
Yeah.
So how can anybody else trust you to say, hey, I'm going to sign a check over to you here?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's what I noticed. Now, I would say the weddings give a nice balance to it all because you're more documenting their union. And I got to say one thing. It's like doing weddings for so long, I could sit down in front of a couple, and I hate to say this, but I could sit down and be like, they're going to make it.
Wow.
Or you looking like,
wow.
There's certain things that you notice, like the questions that they ask, what their interests are when it comes to the wedding. You can see if it's superficial, or you can see if it's like, this is going to be something that's going to last. But yeah, we always say that, like, and especially in the wedding space, like a lot of my friends that are photographers and videographers, they say the same thing. It's like, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
So I know, and it's just years and years and years of sitting across on the couch with someone and looking at them like, they're not even together.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, they're doing this for another reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay. So your favorite right now is corporate small biz.
It's corporate. Yes. Yes, it is.
So I know, so when we met, I know our first project was like the year-long initiative of every month I want to create content. And we were talking just about the different ways and modalities and things like that. Do you find that as you're working with small businesses or working with corporate, there's a lot of like content coaching, so to speak? I don't know how to give that happening. And finding that the content coaching is going on. Some people are not camera confident. Others are. Like for you, what has been your experience in that space between corporate and small biz? Like just capturing or helping coach them to whatever type of content they're trying to create.
Wow. All right. So the biggest one, and I still think this exists today, it's a lot of times we're in the business and we do things every single day in and day out, whether like, let's say for me, for example, I set everything up and I'm like, nobody wants to see that. But Yes, they want to see that. It's the things that you do day in and day out, whether you take calls, you're on Zoom calls, you're on meetings. I understand if you cannot show this stuff, but just show the process of you doing whatever it is that you do in your business. If you're manufacturing, the end result is not always the thing the customer wants to see. They want to see, how did you get to that end result? We want to see the machine going down. We want to see you loading something in. We want to see that final product. Like what did it take you to design that product? So that's what they want to see. So anytime I'm going across the different companies, or if I'm doing, some content for them, I just say, what do you do day in and day out? I'm on meetings all day. Are you showing that? No, nobody wants to see that. It's like, just the answers that you're giving. Yes, they do. Because that content right there, even if the camera is just facing you, not hearing what the other person is saying, you're answering probably 90% of the questions that the person that wants to work with you wants to ask you, but they don't even want to hit the button to ask you it because they're like, I don't know if he's going to answer these questions right now. I think I'm going to have to pay him to answer that. Just start giving it away. Yeah. So that's what I'm noticing. But the content coaching, oh gosh. Oh man, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, but no one's wrong. I would just say, like, the individuals, I keep hitting this, the individuals that that are on the side of the camera, if you just would start looking in the mirror and just practicing, even if you don't post it, even if you don't go back and watch it, because a lot of times I've had that before. Like, I record all these videos, but I don't even want to watch it because I'm just afraid to watch it. And I'm like, what are you afraid of? I just don't like the way I look. I get it, but just hear how you sound. Maybe the video's not your calling. Maybe it's just the audio portion. But if you just start doing that and just get comfortable with holding a phone in front of you, then from that point, when someone comes in, you're going to have so much more confidence in front of the camera. Because for me, oh gosh, I started off with a teleprompter and I'm reading it like, because it says this is the way you said. I was like, this is not right. I'm just going to be exactly who I am. And it takes a while, because also the other thing I would say is that the internet is the internet. And everybody is either a English major. They're English majors. They are, professionals at cinematography, punctuation. That's exclamation mark shouldn't be there. And they're telling you everything that you need to do. But then secretly, if you go back on their profile, and I'm not being shady or anything like that, or I'm not being childish, but if you go on their profile, when the last thing you post, dog? It's like, come on, man. Right? You haven't posted anything in 2 years. Like, why are you telling me this? But also, the one thing that helped me out, and I know I don't watch him as much right now, but Gary Vaynerchuk says something. He said, when you get a negative comment or you get negative feedback on something, for the person to write that in a comment, they have to be in a place right now that's hurting them. And if you look at it from that perspective, instead of you having, hostility towards them, you have empathy towards them. Is to say, for them to write that, for everyone to see and not care, something is going on. And you just, at this point for me, I'm like, well, I just try to pray for them. I try. I try to say, I hope they make it out or whatever it is. And I just move on, or I just kill them with kindness. Like, I really appreciate your point of view. I take that into consideration next time. And I just move on. Or I'll delete the comment or block it or just hide it. But they have to be somewhere. So that's one way to, try to diffuse half of the negativity, because this is going to be negativity. When you're putting yourself out there, there's going to be a ton.
Everybody got an opinion.
They all got an opinion. But they just come from a place where, who do you think you are to do that? It's not really who do you think you are to do that. Is, wow, how do you have the courage to do that?
If you're done with the fluff and ready to execute on the how, then visit SheBuiltSuccess.com for the tools you need. It's time to push go and dive into real strategies, genuine understanding, and concrete steps to create both more in business and life. Head on over to SheBuiltSuccess.com for access to exclusive downloads, resources, and bonuses. Because moving boldly forward is not just a destination, it's a multi-layered journey. Let's grow and build your success together.